I feel I need to comment about my novel Silver Skies, which I wrote to honor the vast love between myself and Brent Spiner. I will comment about the Jesuit critique of the book, which exposes their shallow views of love. The Jesuits claim that Silver Skies is the story of a born-again Christian whose love for a Jewish man is repeatedly stymied by the man's heartless shark of a wife and the machinations of the Jesuit order. This is incorrect. The Jesuits are claiming that I wrote a story about events as opposed to a story about hearts. First off, the born-again Christian they refer to, Brianna Wilhelm, who is loosely patterned after me, is not even the main character. The main character is Dor Ben Habakkuk, who I loosely patterned after Brent Spiner. My goal when I wrote Silver Skies was not to write a story about events, but about characters who struggle over how to be true to their hearts and to their religion at the same time. You know, there are basically four kinds of stories in the world. The first type of story is one where the main emphasis is the world that surrounds the characters, that is, their landscape, the interior spaces, the surrounding cultures, which the characters emerge from and react to. Examples of stories like these are Gulliver's Travels and The Lord of the Rings. A second type of story is the idea story, which is about information that the reader is meant to discover or learn during the process of the story. Murder mysteries use this structure. A third type of story is the character story, which is the main story in Silver Skies. A character story is about a person trying to change their role in life. It begins at the point when a main character finds his role in life intolerable and sets about to change his role. The character's role is his network of relationships with other people and with society at large. The character story starts when some part of a character's role in life becomes unbearable, and then the story is about whether the character is able to change his role in life and how and why he goes about this change. I patterned Silver Skies after Colleen McCullough's The Thornbirds, which has strong character stories in it. The Thornbirds is about the priest Ralph de Bricassar, deeply in love with Maggie Cleary, yet he has ambition and wants to rise within the Catholic Church. He longs to find a way to love Maggie and still remain a priest, and the whole book is about his attempt to do this and how Maggie reacts to him as he tries to reconcile his love for Maggie with his desire to rise within the Roman Catholic Church. It ends in that he never changes his role. Though he makes love to Maggie as a priest and she gives birth to his son, he remains a priest until he dies. So the story ends with all the main characters having given their lives as a sacrifice, like the thornbird sings as it impales itself on the spike. And the songs they sing as they die on the spike seem so beautiful they don't realize that the song or sacrifice is killing them, and still they do it. So in the Thornbirds, the story is about the song they sing while they impale themselves on the thorn. And the character story part is a minor story in the Thornbirds because none of the very major characters succeed in changing their role in life and never really come to terms with their role in life. A fourth type of story is the event story, where something is wrong in the fabric of the universe and the world is out of order. Both the Thornbirds and My Silver Skies have a strong event story. The disorder in the Thornbirds is that ambition wins against the heart. The disorder in My Silver Skies is the same as the Thornbirds, that ambition, in the form of the Jesuit order, wins against the heart. An event story begins not at the point where the world becomes disordered, but rather at the point where the character, whose actions are most crucial to establishing the new order, becomes involved in the struggle to correct the disorder. In both Silver Skies and the Thornbirds, the event story and the character story are strong. In the Thornbirds, the event story is the main one, and the disorder is corrected when Justine, Maggie's daughter, learns from her mother's mistake, follows her heart, and marries the man she loves. In Silver Skies, the character story is the main one, and all the main characters go through transformations in their heart and soul that affects the roles they play in society and the world at large. The Jesuits critique Silver Skies as an event story, claiming it a failure as an event story. That's because it's a character story. Judging it as a story only about events, they say the crises in the book are all too convenient and implausible, not realizing that the main crises in the book are not the events, but how these events affect my characters in their role as a lover. Silver Skies is not about events in and of themselves, but about the struggles of the heart, as all the main characters strive to find new roles as lovers. You have one character, a rabbi, in love with a Christian missionary candidate, who must violate his religion and morals if he follows his heart. Another character, a born-again Christian, a missionary candidate, is in love with a married man who is not a Christian, and she must violate her religion and morals to follow her heart. Another character, a married man, a new ager and leader in the New World Order, whose daughter opposes the New World Order and who's in love with a key leader of the enemy, faces the same dilemma. Must he choose his New Age religion over his heart? Silver Skies is not, as the Jesuits depict, a story about events. It's a story about hearts filled with doubt, uncertainty, and confusion over their roles as lovers, whether it be a lover in a man-woman relationship or a lover in a father-daughter relationship. They question their morality and they contemplate new roles for themselves as lovers. And the whole book revolves around these questions. They have to rethink entire belief systems to find their new role in life. The story ends when they either change their roles as lovers or become resigned to the role they had in the beginning. Though Silver Skies has excitement in it with gunshots and that sort of thing, it's not mainly about that. And if that's what you're looking for, don't read my book. It will be a colossal bore. It's about hearts full of forbidden love, in doubt over how to express and live out that forbidden love. Hearts that feel condemned for loving, as if loving was the greatest sin in the world. And the book is how they deal with this. When I wrote this book, my goal was to write something that I would like to read. I've always loved stories about the heart and about struggles within the heart, about right and wrong and how to deal with forbidden feelings, like Colleen McCullough's The Thornbirds, or Charles Dickens' David Copperfield, or even Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. Silver Skies is about my characters' heart struggles, and the story question is, how can I be true to my heart and true to right and wrong at the same time? The conflict is not the events, but about feelings in the heart that have to reconcile themselves to the events of the story. This explains why some of the events seem implausible, because the events are not the focus of the story. The Jesuits say that if the villain was so powerful, why didn't the villain destroy Dor and Brianna at the very beginning of the story with just a gunshot to the head and get it over with? But that would not be my villain, who desired for people to see him other than who he was. If I presented him right away as a maniacal killer, he would not be true to himself in my novel, which is all about who my characters are, and my novel would have fallen flat on its face. Because this is a character story, my prime concern was to have all characters true to themselves. The villain, in this novel has the role that Jesuit leader Zack Knight currently plays with me. Though at the time I wrote Silver Skies, I had never even heard of Zack Knight. When I wrote Silver Skies, I believed that the Antichrist would oppose the King James Bible and would only allow satanic Bibles during the tribulation. But perhaps without realizing it, my Silver Skies is prophetic, as Jesus says, because the Antichrist will oppose the King James Bible, God's Word, more than the other versions because he will claim that it's God opposing it by making it an idol. Therefore, the Antichrist followers will worship the Bible as God, but won't read the Bible to obey it. But Silver Skies is not about the Bible or even the tribulation or the Antichrist. It's about characters who don't know what is right or wrong about how they feel in their heart. It's a character story, the story of two men and a woman who have lives that have become unbearable, with the main character, Dor Ben Habakkuk, a rabbi with a heart crushed in a marriage to a vicious, cold, calculating spouse, but feels he must remain in the marriage to be true to his religion. At the opening to the book, he meets Brianna by chance in a meeting that transforms his heart, as he begins to realize that he violated his heart by honoring his religion over his heart. Jesuit Zack Knight, at his website crazygail.com, criticizes my novel Silver Skies as a monotonous clunker of a book, with interactions between Dor and Rachel, his wife, predictable, boring, and repetitious, failing to realize that this book is not about events, but about characters struggling with the morality of what they feel in their heart, like I struggled with the morality of how I felt about being in love with a non-Christian Brent Spiner in the 1990s when I was married and a born-again Christian at the time. Because to Zack Knight, what you feel in your heart is nothing compared to devotion to a religion, he disdains Silver Skies as a stupid book concerned with issues that he thinks are boring, and presumes that nobody else cares about a conflict between their heart and their religion. A book like Silver Skies, which encourages readers to think through any religion that causes you to violate your heart, he would condemn. In the Jesuit order, you're not allowed to fall in love. It could make you unable to carry out the duties of a Jesuit soldier. So, of course, to someone like Zack Knight, who considers obedience without question to the Catholic Church the only thing that matters, a book like Silver Skies that questions a religion that denigrates your heart would be dangerous to pure religious devotion. Therefore, because lovers can never be as awesome as the Catholic Church, Zack would disdain any book whose characters struggle over whether to obey their hearts over their religion. So if you think it's a sin to fall in love, especially if you believe your religion must never interfere with your forbidden love for any person, don't read Silver Skies. You will find it a colossal bore. But if, like my men, Brent Spiner, Jesus Christ, Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Jackman, Gerard Butler, and Vladimir Putin, you think a deep and true love may be more important than devotion to a religion or ambition for a position, and if you hope that God in heaven will respect you for having a love greater than your desire for ambition or for respect within your religion, perhaps you should read my book.